is the big one.
This is the big one.
This is the Glengarry leads.
This is the gold standard of comedy.
Cubans, baby. This
is it. This is it.
This is Bambi.
What is that song? This is it. This is it.
There was a lot.
Ain't no something. This is it. I don't know the lyrics. Yeah, this is it. Right.
Yeah. What?
Michael McDonald. Thank you.
This is Bambi, season 2, episode.
Bambi!
We are in the second season of The Old Young Ones. I am John Clark. This is Howie Weingarten, who's very excited.
Oh.
See? But this is our favorite episode of the entire series.
Easily. There's nothing like Bambi. There's nothing like Bambi.
We do not have a third guest because we figured we would just talk them right into the ground.
We would.
So much to cover. This has been a personal comedy touchstone for the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has the highest rewatch value. This has the highest quotability.
Yep.
We're going to get into it. Everything in this, I don't think there's going to be a lot of criticism this time around.
No criticism.
So we are in season 2. Right away, we have a new title, which is using, I'm guessing, state-of-the-art
1984 graphics that were just like, wow, just
like magic eye,
And instead of you got like three still pictures of the actors instead of just that one,
instead of the one that we got for season 1. So that's
right.
Where the money's going.
So yeah, that's where the money goes.
You're adding a couple of hours to this photo shoot for season
1. Nigel, just look sad. All 3 photos.
Again. Look sad again.
Look sad. Sad, sadder, and saddest. Yeah, hit it.
So, there are slight differences between season 1 and season 2. Now, this was a show, as we've often said, that we watched in reruns.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a long time for me to notice the differences because we rarely watch them in order. But there are slight differences to the set. The house is just a little different. There's more to the wall on the right, and we'll see in future episodes that space they can now use. So they tried to make it look the same, but then again, the continuity between episodes isn't great. They wreck a lot of walls that are back in the next episode.
Yes, they do, and the puppets still suck.
Yeah, puppets. Yeah, the puppets.
But thank God for that.
The puppets still suck in this one.
Well played. Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, there are very little touches. That wardrobe next to the phone and is a different wardrobe. But we start with Neil running, which is a plot point that will not be paid off for 15 minutes.
And that's okay. Because this is just an episode that just goes and just keeps hitting you with joke after joke after joke. And finally, they're like, oh, here's a payoff. And what a payoff it is.
Well, we'll get into it. We start with Neil running, and then we cut back to the kitchen where Rick, Vivian, and Mike are. And Rick is telling the story about Mary.
Mary?
Which he can't get through. There is no story. First of all, they're very confused and they don't care. But he never.
Do they ever?
Anything that happens. He just gets back to, we were talking about Mary.
Wait, who's getting married?
Yeah, nobody's getting married. We're talking about Mary. And then there's basically the only interest they have in is whether or not Mary is easy.
Yeah.
That's the only
and you know what, for them she'd still be hard.
Difficult
for them, difficult. They'd be hard.
So we're in this, which by the way, for season 2 sets up all the characters really, really well.
Oh yeah.
Rick, Vivian, and Mike are well established. Neil comes in, runs in. But the phone is ringing the entire time. Everyone ignores it till Neil comes in, which establishes that Neil is the victim. Because as soon as he tries to talk, they say, answer the phone.
Answer the phone, Neil.
And nobody's on the phone. It stops ringing. But
it says, as soon as he gets there, it stops ringing. He's like, floppy disks.
Yeah. Neil is less suicidal in this season.
Floppy disks.
I feel,
Oh
yeah,
my God.
a
Oh
very
my God. Really?
in 1984.
I guess floppy disks were big back then for sure. Yeah.
Oh, we had them. They were like this big. They were like 5
Oh
inches.
my God. Yeah. The 5 1/4. If
And
you're
they
lucky, you got the 3.5.
It held like 16K.
My God.
A floppy disk would not hold the picture of you and I sitting still right now.
No.
There,
It wouldn't. Couldn't do it.
So as soon as Neil comes in, he's hit from all sides because he
Mhm.
yelled at for not answering the phone, and then Vivian yells at him for not already making dinner, which is a common trope in the young ones. Like they tend to sit around, and when they see it's almost Pavlovian. When they see Neil, they want dinner,
Food.
and they're already impatient about it.
Neil means food. So
Yeah.
what does he do? He gets the garbage can, dumps it all on the table, and they're like, Neil, what's this? Leftovers. You know? Brilliant.
I think again establishing
Brilliant.
the
You know?
to it. It's almost as if
you know?
it's almost. I mean, we're way ahead, but it's almost as if the first season was punk and this season is grunge.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but we'll see about that. But
yeah, but we're a good 7 years before grunge happens.
yeah,
they are much dirtier in this, and I think that's
they're filthy.
Yeah, part of the budget goes to them being dirty.
You know, you know what? One of my favorite things is when Vivian is just like, "Oh, there's a rat in there. Oh, look at that!" He puts a fork into and starts eating the rat.
Yeah,
it was. I was on the floor with that because the thing is that like, you know, it's just like this show. It takes no prisoners. It gives no quarter. It breaks every freaking rule, and it doesn't matter. Screw you. And I love that.
I love Neil screaming, "I've been here half an hour being hungry." And I'm like, what?
No, it's Vivian.
In that, Vivian says that. Yeah,
Vivian says that.
And then
listening to he insults Rick. You know, I don't know who gives a shit less, really, to be honest with you. If it's Vivian or Mike during the whole Mary story, and then with dinner, forget about it. You know, it's just beat up on Neil time. Yeah. You know, it's just the plot just like, okay, we're sick of beating up on Rick. Now let's go beat up on Neil. You know?
Well, he says he says, why is it me that always has to cook? And Vivian says, we divided up the jobs when we came in. You cook and I take care of the plants and goldfish. And what did you force me to make the first night?
Sausages
and
plants and goldfish.
It's a great joke.
You know, hey, I've given up. I've abdicated my responsibility. You give up yours. I love that.
Yeah. So now we get into it because Neil's already in a bad mood because somebody called him smelly.
How dare they?
And right away he's like, "Come on, guys, do I smell? Yes.
Do I smell? Do I smell? Come on, guys, you can tell me. Yes." What do you mean, yes?
I wrote this down because I've always thought about this. Probably any day I skip a shower.
Yeah.
I remember Vivian goes, "Yes, you smell smelly."
Smelly. I love that.
It's so we start to get into it, and we're immediately sidetracked by the greatest moments I think in Young Ones dynamics.
Oh my God. This had my wife Jen. This had her on the floor. She was laughing at this.
Well, she hated this show. She
loved this episode. She was tired. She watched the first 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and she goes, "I love Rick." And I said, "What?" She goes, "Hands up, who likes me?"
Hands up, who likes me? Which
I'm like, who is this woman?
On the last episode, if we had zoomed out, Joe Pakovitz was actually wearing a Rick Mayall shirt that says "Hands up, who likes me."
I think I saw that. Yeah, hands up, who likes me? That is the most brilliant line.
I think about that once a week.
I don't know anyone else who could deliver that. Anyone.
No. And it's out of nowhere. It's not like Rick's feeling bad or Rick's like insecure. Just shouts "hands up!" Who like a 3-year-old.
Right.
He just wants validation that he will not get.
You know.
And then they bet him.
And then how are you going to win this bet?
Yeah, exactly. It's completely and also Vivian's comeback line, "No, you're a complete bastard and we all hate you,"
You know,
is
I
is
just
maybe the most young ones thing I've ever heard.
I love when he says that. He goes, "Oh well, I can't bet. I don't have any money." And he's just like, Neil's like, "Yes, you do. You have that tenner I gave you for your sister's operation." And he's just like, "Operation? Well, you're the classic example of an only child." You know. And he's like, "Fine," and he bets it. What I also love is that, like, when they split the money, they rip it in half. Like, what the fuck is that?
They do.
They do.
They do, and nothing is better than when he tests them. They all not only do they not raise their hands at once, they all
Yeah,
drop their
under, yeah,
floor.
under the table.
Right, and which
It's like,
God, I love it so much. But
yes, oh my God.
this kicks off something which is a completely different dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
Is Rick trying to kill himself? We had a whole season
Right.
of Neil trying to kill himself.
Unsuccessful.
But now Rick's doing it out of anger instead of Neil trying to do it out of depression.
And he gives them one of the most, I think, famous like monologues in Young One's history. The People's Poet.
The people's
Well,
poet.
why are the kids crying? You know?
And while he's trying to hang himself with his own tie, but there's nowhere to hang.
And he's like, this is useless. I love that. He's just like, this is useless. And he's just like, he just gets the bottle and just starts pouring laxative pills into his mouth. And Neil is just like, Vivian, probably asking Vivian because he's the pre-med student.
He is.
You know, he's just like, can you actually kill yourself with laxative pills? And this actually had Jen crack up. He says, I don't know, but I'm going to wait around and find out.
Yeah, you get everything the Young Ones is capable of in this first fight, and the manic energy and the Rick has in his eyes are bulging as he's shoving gigantic. It's like one of those vitamin E jars.
Yeah,
it's huge.
Yeah, it's like huge.
It's like a pony cake full of pills.
It's a family size, you know.
Yeah, they're spilling all over the place.
You know, I mean, that's a lot of laxative pills.
And it's a huge fart that comes out. It's an easy fart joke.
Oh my! Well, who doesn't love a good fart joke? Come on.
And then we get cutaways, which are there only to be cutaways. First of all, there's a Matchbox puppet that says, "Don't look at me, I'm irrelevant."
Bum, 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 bum.
Yep. And I had to explain to my 10-year-old what irrelevant was.
You know, I don't even know why that joke's in there.
No, I don't.
But I love it.
In there, we talked about this before, but they had to build that puppet to do that line.
Yeah, just a little, you know, things like that. You know, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, there's no Jim Henson Creature Shop for the young ones.
No,
they're puppets lying around.
You know, just whatever what do you got?
Yeah, so that
hit me with it.
Then we go from there to a current parody at the time. Fortunately, it's a film that's lasted, but now there's a parody of The Elephant Man, which is notable because first of all, it's a new film, and there's no transition to this at all. And then there's like an overhead shot of them in the kitchen, and then Robbie Coltrane is looking at them through a magnifying glass.
Well, it's funny because it's just like it goes from the don't look at me, you know, I'm irrelevant. Mm-hmm. To the guys, I've got bad news. One in Vivian's socks has escaped.
Oh yeah,
you know, and it's
another puppet,
and it's just it's another bad puppet, and it's just like I don't know if he comes running back downstairs. I forget the exact detail, but all of a sudden you hear that music.
Yeah,
and Robbie Coltrane is sitting back there, haggard, and he's just like, "Did you know Rick Mayall was almost in the original Harry Potter?"
Yes, I heard he was cut out. I don't know who he
was. Peeves. Oh. I don't know who that is. I'm like, you got. Oh, I think I sent you this. It's on YouTube. There's a clip. Rick Mayall talks Harry Potter. It's hysterical. It's pure Mayall. Gotta love him.
Chance to look at that.
Take a look at it when you can.
Oh, he was supposed to be a ghost.
Yeah.
like a prankster ghost that annoyed everybody, which made a lot of sense. And something, I wondered why Peeves wasn't in it because I liked him in the book.
Hmm.
Wow.
So he would have been
I
great.
didn't see that on a DVD. That's not a deleted scene.
Hmm.
I know John Cleese appears as a ghost as nearly headless Nick in the second one, and he
Right.
gets one line and you never see him again.
Well, the nice thing is that Mayall definitely, he said that he made a significant amount of money. So I'm glad for him.
Yeah.
Very happy for him.
I'm sure he did. Harry Potter employed half of Britain.
For sure.
Yeah. But we get to Robbie Coltrane. Yeah, and right now I feel like there's a couple of scenes, and there's one coming in another episode that I think are presaging Blackadder because Robbie Coltrane becomes a big part of Blackadder. He's already done Young Ones, but he'll be a big part of the Christmas special.
He was the bouncer. Yep.
He was the bouncer, and then Tony Robinson, who played Baldric for all of
Baldric. I could have, because we watched Blackadder before we watched Young Ones.
We did, yeah. It was rerunning on Comedy Central.
I always thought that Blackadder came before Young Ones when it was actually other way around.
Well, it was in between because the first.
Well, that's true. That's true. The first Blackadder, 82, 81?
3. So Young Ones.
83. Okay, so it was right in between. Yeah.
Blackadder season 1 is 83, which was not that successful, and one of the only things that makes me pause about doing a Blackadder podcast after this one is season 1's kind of tough to get through.
That's a hard one.
And then there's Young Ones season 2, and then Ben Elton goes to Blackadder season 2, and immediately,
which is amazing.
Within the first episode, Rick Mayall is there, and then later Nigel Planner is there, and Adrian Edmondson is there, and these two are basically a yin yang of early 80s alt British comedy.
Oh my God. Coltrane and Robinson are fucking masters. I mean, you don't get better than those guys.
It's a decent enough sketch. They rented an elephant.
But I am how could you say that, you heartless bastard? Yes, but I am an elephant. I like that deep voice.
Yeah. It's like pitch shifted like a Dalek. And then that's it. That they cut right back to them chasing the sock,
trying to get a sock into a hamper, or not a hamper,
this is
laundry bag.
This is puppetry that works for me. The puppets in this episode actually work for me because that sock has a reason for being, that they're dirty, that the sock's alive and running around.
Well, the funny thing is, like, when they say, according to the house, whatever. We haven't been to the laundrette since October 20th, 1981. This was 84.
Yeah.
And Vivian's kind of like, well, I've got 3 pairs of this, 3 pairs of that. That only means I've worn them all 290 times each.
Yeah.
And Mike's like, guys, that's it. We're going to the laundrette right now. As soon as they knock out the sock, which is funny because Neil's got a chill. He's like, kill.
Neil is uncharacteristically aggressive, which is pointed out. And he says, like, I thought you were a vegetarian. Socks aren't vegetables, man. They should be wiped out. Like, Neil takes a stand on socks.
And then for some reason, Vivian takes the frying pan, hits Rick in back of the head with it. And he's like, it was a mercy killing, and then
Rick in the back of the head with it is because those two were slapstick. I was watching Bottom over the weekend, which was the show they did in the 90s, which was only the two of them.
I gotta watch that again.
And I watched one episode I was about 20 minutes into that, and I was like, oh, they just brought back the Three Stooges.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just the Three Stooges. But
sure. But it goes a lot further than the Three Stooges.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
So as you say, they all run upstairs. The light.
Oh my God!
Midnight.
Oh my God!
They all run down, and this is a scene that they could only do in season 2 because they're so used to it. But how you want to describe what happens?
So they go up. Mike says, "We're going to bed because we're going to the laundrette right here, right now." Vivian's like, "We can't do it, Michael." He's just like, "Well, why not? Because it's midnight." All right, we're going to bed right here, right now. They all run up the stairs. They all run back down the stairs in the same order, and they're all playing another character. Neil is playing Rick. Michael is playing Neil. Rick is playing Vivian, and Vivian is playing Michael. I think I got that all right.
You did. You got that all right, and each one of them is doing an impression of the other.
Which is amazing.
And Mike as Neil looks like Cousin It.
Oh my God. He's just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm just not feeling myself today.
And they all look at the camera.
You know? And just like, I bet you could tell a really dirty joke about feeling yourself.
They're having so much fun with it.
Oh my God.
I wrote this down. This is Howie's favorite joke ever.
Ever.
It's a Mike joke, but it's actually Adrian Edmondson saying the Mike joke, which is,
you know, all right, guys, as one guy said to the other guy who's getting fed up, I'm getting fed up. I want to wash my smalls, and I don't mean just dip my tiddlies in a glass of water, something like that. It's just,
that was exactly it, and you got it right. There were many, many bars in the 90s
you know,
you put a hand on my shoulder and said this to me,
you know,
and it was word perfect.
All right, guys, as one guy said, the other guy's getting fed up. You know what? It's funny. I didn't realize this, but we'll get into this as we go into the episode. There's a lot of Mike quotables in this episode that I really, really took to. I mean, yes, of course, there's hands up, who likes me, but there's a lot of things that Mike says in this episode that I'm just like, years later, remembering this is absolutely just like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I think they figured out Mike at this point. I think because Chris Ryan was a last minute replacement, and a lot of times he's played it as a straight man. I think they found what worked about him and what's fun about him. And he's got a great outfit in this. Like, he puts on different outfits, but he's got the aviator sunglasses and the leather coat with the popped collar.
What's up with that red shirt? Is it like a big rip in his shirt on the sleeve?
I don't know.
When he's sitting there with the vest on at that first scene, I don't know. It's not important, but the thing is that like when after they decide that they're going to go to the laundrette, Neil takes the hat off. He does his hair. He's just like, all right, we're going right now. They jump in the air,
yes,
as I just did, and they just land on film, because it's now, and they're walking into the laundromat.
Yes.
With like the funniest thing that I think of is Vivian's, garbage bag filled with dirty clothes, and it's just great.
Well, it has Batman green smoke coming out of it. It's
just great.
It's like when the Joker would knock everybody out in the Adam West Batman series.
Except himself, Oh my God. We could do Batman as well. I mean, tell you.
Every time they get to the laundrette, I go, okay, this is the point of the episode. This episode should be called Laundrette. They're in the laundrette for about 2 minutes.
I mean, seriously, the people run out. This is like gagging and screaming, basically. And then they're in there. And then Rick tells one of, I know I said that there's a lot of jokes I tell for Mike, but there's one Rick joke that he says, where he goes, he says to, he goes, hello, listen, pay attention to me, to Michael. And Mike just kind of like turns around. He's just like, I told you 1,000,000 times, do not exaggerate. And I can't say it like Mayo, of course.
It's a classic bad delivery.
And he cracks up at it.
Well, you have to be as good a comedian as Rick Mayall to do that joke that badly. He screws up the rhythm. He screws up the delivery.
Yeah.
Beforehand, like it's a D+ joke, and I feel like they're making fun of jokes like that. But
it works so. I told that joke at work, and there were crickets, and I laughed, and that's all that really mattered. I know. That's
all you did it for.
That's right. I'm selfish, and I admit it.
So this goes so quickly because the other part of puppetry that worked for me for this episode is none of the washing machines will take their clothes.
Oh my God. No way. No way. And they all close their lids.
Yeah.
And Vivian's like, this will take unique mixture of psychology and extreme violence, which is a great line.
Yes,
That is an amazing fucking line.
Perfect young. But you know what? I also wrote down when they were like the washing machines are against us, and Neil goes techno fear, which is like way ahead of its time. It's like William Gibson in 1984.
Of course, Vivian then is holding all these dirty clothes. He's like, well, la-dee-la, look what I've got here. A bunch of Felicity Kendall's underwear.
Now
and they need
and this starts the Felicity Kendall running gag of season 2.
Which they continue, I believe, in like there's another episode with The Good Life we'll talk about in another podcast.
We'll talk about in that episode, which starred Felicity Kendall. She seems to be their go-to hot girl, and she's not that hot, and I think that's the joke about it.
I think she's like girl next door cute. Yeah. She's not like this like pinup Playboy magazine thing, but she's the kind of girl you'd bring home.
They all focus in on her so much to the fact that washing machines want to have her underwear.
Which
one opens with a sound that
like, oh yeah, give me those underwear. Want those panties.
Yeah, and they shove it in, and you can tell they are
like
they're
rocking it back and forth,
And this is how it ends. The laundrette just ends because they realize they don't have any money.
I love when he says, Neil, maybe get the sludge out of the other ones and we'll put it in there, and then he starts eating it.
Yeah, I like when Rick starts screaming, "Put powder!" What kind of powder?
I don't know, gunpowder, cocaine? What? I don't know.
I think they mean washing up powder.
Washing up powder. All right. Put two 50 pence, whatever, in pieces. I don't know, British.
They just stopped rocking it.
They just stopped rocking. And Mayo was, his hair was wet for some reason. It's just like, it looked like I don't know.
Because I feel like they went to a location.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there had to have been more there because the episode is about going to the laundromat, as we.
That's what you would say. That's what you think.
10 minutes. That's what they talk about. There is an episode of Mr. Bean where Mr. Bean goes to the laundrette, and Mr. Bean spends more time in the laundrette, and he doesn't say anything.
And he doesn't have Felicity Kendall's underwear.
One character with no lines, and he spent triple the amount of time in a laundrette.
Yeah,
that the young ones do.
And it's funny because like as soon as they realize that they don't have money to do their laundry, they just go home, and they're like,
"Go home." We just go back to them sitting at the kitchen table.
That's what I'm saying, and they're like, "Well, maybe we could be like the dirtiest students ever," and Rick is like, when Lenin led the revolution in Russia, there's no way he did it without a spotted bottom or something to that effect.
Brian has a great line reading when Neil's like, let's never wash our clothes again. And Mike goes,
oh my God. I love that line. Love that line. I love when he says to Vivian, okay, perfectly excellent. Okay, now the big hand is on the thing. What is that? 11? He's like, perfectly excellent. He goes, so what is it at? 5:30. And of course, this all leads in, we missed.
First of all, it comes out of nowhere because Neil's in the middle of the line and he just starts screaming.
Yes.
Because
it's really unlike him because he never really gets that animated, except for killing socks.
This is why he was running home 15 minutes ago. He just remembered that they're supposed to be on University Challenge. So now it's a second episode. There is no looking back.
There's nothing
to do with laundromat because now they have to get to the train station. Strangely enough, they have no money for a washing machine, but all four of them can get on a train and go at least 300 miles.
Music!
And the music is
Motorhead.
I was watching this with Jill, and then she just saw the guitars and she's like, "Who is this?" And I didn't answer her, and I pointed, and Lemmy came on screen. And Lemmy at his most iconic. I think
Oh
this,
yeah,
this was probably my first experience with Motorhead,
yeah, yeah.
and then and everything about them in this. They play Ace of Spades, which is their signature song.
That's it.
They
Doesn't get better than that,
they
really.
play
I
the
mean,
hell out of it. They do everything. Like Jill even said, like, "Oh, I like the way he has his mic stand." I'm like, he always had his mic stand. Lemmy always had the mic stand over his head so he would look up and yell.
yeah, you know,
Every
no one did that. No one has ever done that. No one will ever do that.
no one
You know?
could now.
No
And,
one
you know,
could.
he's got the aviator sunglasses. He's got the mutton chops. He's got the boils.
Mutton chops are fucking great.
He's got a boil on his forehead.
Who cares? He's Lemmy.
Yeah,
You know?
everything is great about this.
You
And
know?
I think it took about probably like 3 or 4 months, and then you started
Yeah.
lending me Motorhead cassettes.
Yeah, you know.
And then I started buying Motorhead CDs. You actually,
Mm-hmm.
good place to mention this. You actually saw Motorhead live, and I never did.
Yeah. Oh my God. 3 days, my ears were ringing afterwards. Saw him in New York City. Oh my God, dude. It was. You know what? The first couple of bands were loud,
Mhm.
and of course they have the house amps and everything. They brought out a string of amplifiers to go right in front of the stage, and it was just kind of like, oh my God, how loud is this going to be? I was with a buddy from work. He crashed at my place that night, and we were on the train going home, and all we were screaming at each other because we couldn't hear each other.
Yeah.
And the funniest line of the night is Lemmy is talking, and he's just like, you know what? He goes, I hate politicians. And he goes, and somebody yells out, I love you, Lemmy. And Lemmy's like, fuck off. You do not speak when I'm talking, or you do not talk when I'm speaking. Everyone just laughed at this. But it was pure Lemmy.
Yeah.
It was just, and if you're the guy, you couldn't get mad. It's fucking Lemmy.
Yeah, that's why you're
It's
there.
Lemmy, you know? Hey, Lemmy got into a fight with God. Who won?
Good question. Lemmy is God.
Well played.
That's
Nice.
That's fine in Airheads.
Yes.
90s Comedy Central staple, where the band, by the way, Airheads is a bizarre movie because the premise makes sense. It's about a metal band taking over a radio station until they play their
Right.
song. However, that metal band is comprised of Brendan Fraser, Adam Sandler, and Steve Buscemi.
Wow.
How those three guys got together and said, let's start a band is not in our multiverse.
That does not happen.
And out of all of them, Michael Richards is like the guy who works at the radio station.
Oof. That's so funny. Oh
And
my
you know
God.
what? That was a movie that Comedy Central would play on a Saturday afternoon and then show this episode of The Young Ones. That's the only reason I've seen it.
You know what's funny? Like during the video, the Motorhead video, it's just like when they're showing Rick running. I know Rick Mayo did not run that way in real life,
Yeah,
but
he's
he is just running like this with his blazer on, with those buttons and the anarchy symbol, and he's just running like a complete tool. It's just like, it's the funniest thing because I guess, you know, you're not going to get some sort of athletic run from some sociology student who's, you know, always complaining about everything. It's the funny. And then, you know, Vivian takes that pastry and shoves it in his mouth and says, fuck you to
the person working there is laughing the entire time.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's some of the worst extra work I have ever seen. He's
You
like
know?
looking in the camera awkwardly and smiling.
I thought that was a woman, actually. Was that
It was a person.
It was a person. I can't tell if it was a man or woman, but it was just like they were laughing their heads off because dude, it's just like, you know, Abe Edmondson. How you gonna fucking keep really? I mean, we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but we'll get into like Bambi not being able to keep a straight face. But anyways, when they are on that train, oh my God, the video's over. They're on that train. He's just like, Neil's freaking out because he's just like, oh God, you know, this is going to be really heavy. You know, this is because, you know, and then like Rick is like mocking him, like, "Oh, look at you swatting away for teacher like a total spasmo." That's fucking what a fucking great line that is. That is freaking awesome.
That's your era of Britain. That's when it's okay to say.
Like a spasmo. Oh my god, you can say that today.
Like it's bad. Oh and I love that sketch. There's not enough Rick Mayall and Nigel Planer together, and every time they get together,
it's gold.
And it's a perfect sketch. And this happens a lot. We've talked about how The Young Ones is really a sketch show masquerading as a sitcom, but it's a perfect sketch between the two of them quizzing each other on agrarian history.
Test me. Yeah. Test me.
And he's like it was much larger. No, considerably. Considerably.
Crapodition was considerably, And
after what?
Oh, I know this.
After John. It's like
1172.
Yeah, he's like, what after John? He's like,
so crop rotation was considerably more widespread after John.
Yeah, after John Watt invented the steam engine.
Damn it, I knew it! No, you didn't. It was 1172. That's nothing like what he said. And he just goes into an absolute. He loses his shit.
Oh, he throws everything.
And he's hitting the table like a child, and like he's like just like all the papers and stuff. And Neil's like, it's only University Challenge, Rick. It's only University Challenge.
He did a. We did a sketch once, and you can find it here on YouTube. We did a sketch called Tension Envelopes once because there was a factory in New Jersey called Tension Envelopes. So we did the sketch where everyone who worked there was completely stressed out and screaming. And there is a scene. There's a scene where I play the executive who's interviewing, who's Bill Monroe, who's passed on. He comes in for a job interview, and I'm screaming at him while pulling at an envelope the entire time. And then Brian, my scene partner, comes in and steals it from me. And we start screaming. And at one point, I jump on the desk and I start screaming because there's about 150 envelopes on the desk. And screaming, "You get no envelopes, none for you!" And every time Rick starts screaming in University Challenge, I go, "Oh, I stole that! I completely stole that in the moment."
Oh my god!
It left such an impression on me that
how could it not? I mean,
Andrew Torres, who was on our third show,
Bomb, right?
Our fourth show, is in that sketch as well. So if that's something you want to see, just look up Tension Envelopes, because once a year I get a comment that says, "I worked at Tension Envelopes and it was exactly like this."
That's pretty funny. Wow.
It's a great freak out. And I remember when we were on Comedy Central, when it was on Comedy Central, when he says it's only University Challenge, that was an act break because it would cut to commercial then. And I had like a pause on the VHS tape, and it always seems like such a great button for that sketch.
Right. And then I guess, Michael and Vivian come in, and I guess they've gotten coffee or something, and they hand Rick an empty cup. And it's just like,
it's like 9 pounds.
It's just like, what? There's nothing in here. It's sugar. And it's just like, and Rick pays him. And again, Vivian rips the money in half, gives half to Michael and half to, and keeps half himself.
Piece of continuity in this episode from the first part to the second part. They rip money in half.
And but then, to me, as the sketch is gold. Is absolutely gold. And then it gets even more like oh god, I'm blown away by this. It's just it gets even more like noteworthy, for lack of a better word, because the thing is that like Vivian is just like all of a sudden Neil's still complaining. This is University Challenge is going to be really tough, and Vivian's like, "I've done my revisions," and he pulls a textbook out of the back of his pants and throws it on the table. And he's like, "Oh, is this where they get the questions from?" And he's just like, "The Daily Mirror Book of Facts. Did you know?" And he's just like, world record for marshmallows stuffed up one nostril. And oh my God.
Tuxeth O'Grady, which I put the subtitles on because I was like, Tuxeth? Did they say Tuxeth? Tuxeth is the guy's name, and I'll never forget the name Tuxeth O'Grady.
604 USA.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, you're just like, world's oh, that's Texas again. You know, world's stupidest bottom burp, Vivian Britain.
Rick.
It's like it says Rick right here. One other joke that is absolutely gold was right before they before Vivian and Mike walk in when before they do crop rotation, where they're like, here, test me.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like, Rick is a real wanker, signed the class. Oh, that was a joke.
You're all my test.
You know, I agree with the class, signed teacher.
And Rick keeps that.
You know, oh, that was just a joke to everyone. We were all in it. Everyone really thought I was great.
Yeah,
you know?
Man, it's so good. And then from here we go to a very cartoony scene, one of the most cartoony. Where
oh my God!
Stands up and goes, "I'm off to stick loads and loads of toilet paper in the toilet."
I've said that at work, but I'm taking a bathroom break. Like, okay, I'm off to stuff loads and then I'll even quote Mike and say, I often wondered who did that.
Yeah,
you know
what happens afterwards is pure Tex Avery because he sees the window.
Do not lean out of window. Oh, I wonder why.
And he takes his head off. And then he pulls the emergency brake.
You know,
and they yell, but now Vivian is outside with no head. Vivian,
and you can see him pulling this string to make the blood spurt out of the top of his head. You can see like a little blood. They must have had like some sort of thing where they could, and it just spurts out some blood, and then I guess. I've seen behind the scenes photos of this. You know, Abe Edmondson. You know, they bury him in the ground. They put rocks all around him with just his head like this. You know, it's just like, oh, you took your damn time, you bastard. Something to that effect. And then he does one of the funniest things in this show ever. And he kicks his own head.
His body. Like a soccer ball.
Not once, twice down the railroad. So they must have had a Vivian head made up like as a puppet. And they were just like, and you can see him. He actually grimaces before he just before he's about to kick it.
First take.
And he kicks, and I gotta. It's funny. I remember like on the Facebook Young Ones group. I remember some of the guys saying, "Hey, I know that railway station. That's by blah blah." You know, I forget what they said, but I'm like, "That's brilliant. That is so fucking brilliant."
It's great. And unfortunately, it's like followed up by. I feel like this is the only weak link in the whole episode is Alexei Sale. I like this. Because he's being held up by a Mexican bandit, and then he goes into the stand-up bit about how a lot of cookies are named after dictators or revolutionaries.
Garibaldis, you've got your whatever.
Yeah, and every time they cut back to the Mexican bandit, the note I wrote was, "That's also my expression."
You know, I'm not. You know. I like Alexei Sale, but the thing is that like this is the one thing where it's just I don't know. This is like if there's one thing where the show takes a little bit of a pause.
Yeah,
I guess you have to say it's this comedy bit. And look, I mean, some comedy bits work and some don't, and that's fine. But the thing is that. This was
it's not even his best.
It's not, and he's funny. But the thing is that this wasn't the best one. This wasn't the best one, and that's fine. But
the rumor I heard was that because the next scene we see some of the legends of of British comedy and acting. I mean, you
Or
get Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, Ben Elton is in it as well, but Emma frickin' Thompson
Emma
is in this
Thompson.
episode of The Young Ones, and the rumor was Alexei Sayle thought they were selling out. So he's in this scene that has no connection to anybody. It's almost like a contractual obligation.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
And you know what? I think there's some validity to it because everybody, well, except for Emma Thompson, but everybody ends up on Blackadder after
Was
this.
Chris Ryan on Blackadder?
No, Chris Ryan was not on Blackadder, and Alexei Sayle wasn't. Now, Chris Ryan was basically a straight actor, so
Right.
he didn't follow like the comedy scene around.
No, I can see that. I can see that. So,
but yeah, I feel like Alexei Sayle took this hard punk stance against
all right,
the establishment.
okay.
But as the next step of evolution from The Young Ones is Blackadder 2, which is, of course, Blackadder 2, 3, and 4
Right.
are absolutely legendary. And Alexei Sayle is nowhere to be seen in those. So
I would have liked to see what he could have done.
Yeah, you know, it's sad because they're all really great in this episode.
You know, I like Alexei, so yeah, I wish I would have liked to see what he could have done. There's some episodes I think he's hysterical, and I will defend him to the nth degree. And there's some episodes where I'm just like, okay, maybe that's a little bit of an experimental type of humor, whatever. But you know, the funny thing is like it's. I know we get the Mexican Bandit thing because Rick says something to the effect of something like the British Rail wants all the commuters to be prostitutes, which is something to that effect. And then he says something like, "It's not like we got stopped by Mexican bandits."
Yeah,
apparently they did.
But they didn't. Because it's Vivian that pulls the rail. It's like, was a Mexican bandit just there?
I don't know, but the thing is that before you know it, it's just like you see Alexei Sayle. He's talking about you've got 85% of British Rail, 90%, and they all get a course in perverse sexual whatever.
Well, he's doing a bit about against Oxbridge College, which of course is what the British call Oxford and Cambridge, like that class, and they're playing footlights, which is the Oxbridge, basically improv team. It's like the National Lampoon in England. So I feel like he's going out of his way to attack what's going to happen.
Right. Okay.
But and it's not just that class system, because when they do get to University Challenge, you have Mel Smith is the security guard, and Mel Smith is in Only the News, and he's also directed the first Mr. Bean movie, which is great. Yeah, and then Bambi himself, Griff Priest Jones, who was a long time comedy mainstay. And I never got the whole Bambi thing. It seemed like this weird random thing they went off. But it's like it's a parody of the actual host of University Challenge.
Right. But the funny thing is that there is one scene that I almost forgot. And I remember a line, and I remember it was delivered by Hugh Laurie, and it's before University Challenge. It's right after Alexei Sayle, where you hear that like the posh, and I guess they're in a Rolls Royce with tinted windows.
Flashes.
And he's just like, he's just like, my daddy's the president of big college, and he's going to get me a job at British Rail. Well, I want to be of the BBC, whatever it is, and they're all just like, the four of them are just like,
they're all drinking champagne in the back of a Rolls. They're exactly what Alexei Sayle is attacking.
Right, rah rah rah. We're going to smash the oinks. Rah rah rah. And I love when Ben Elton says, "Well, I'm going to be okay. My daddy just bought me the Socialist Party."
Yeah,
it's just like
it's very Python-esque, and I think that's what I think. And Python comes from Oxford.
Now, what does Stephen Fry mean when he said, "We have to get going before my balls drop"? Something like that. I'm like, what the fuck did that mean?
He said we have just enough time before my balls drop, because he's speaking in such a high voice. And he's like, he hasn't gone through puberty yet.
Oh my God. That's what it means. Okay. I was just like, I love Lord Snot. I mean,
Yeah.
I have used Lord Snot as a what do you call it, alias, for a bunch of different people. Are like, what the fuck is Lord Snot? No one knows where it comes from, and it's great because they're like, did you just make that up yourself? I'm like, I wish. I wish I made that up myself.
That is why you're doing this podcast.
That's right.
So, yes. So then there's a whole long bit. There's two bits actually in the waiting area that it's like don't work as well. I think the room's not great for comedy because there's all the stuff about Bambi, which as an American I just thought was confusing and random. Did you do a Disney nasty and all that? And then there's the thing with the pig, which
bacon sandwich.
Yeah, bacon sandwich is actually a ferret, which is like which is actually like a classic Python sketch. So
right.
I think now that the Oxbridge characters are in play, now they're actually doing tributes to Python.
Right. Well, the funny thing is that like there's this one other. It's a short scene, but they're on the side of the road, and and Rick is saying to Neil, this is all your fault, even though Rick pulled the thing to stop the train. And he said, Rick, you said it was an anagram for something, that it was completely off. And Rick is just like, well, this is your fault, Neil, because you're the one, if you weren't here, we wouldn't be here because 3 people isn't enough to be on University Challenge. It's like, it's the worst blaming excuse ever. The logic makes no sense. And then Mike is like, listen, guys, don't worry. I'm the best hitchhiker. Like, we're 200 miles from like Manchester. And he's just like, guys, don't worry. I'm the best hitchhiker, ever, And he's just, and they end up walking 200 miles and end up there 2 weeks late.
They end up there 2 weeks late, yet they're right on time for the Oxbridge people.
Yeah, they arrived on time.
But I guess they were waiting for 2 weeks.
And then they're like, Bambi, Bambi, Bambi. And it's just like, I almost feel like they're taking a shot at like, Mike is just like, oh my God, look at you, less first, standing up on 2 legs, but still the same old Bambi, And it's funny because I was just like, that Reese, what was his name again? Reese
Jones.
What was that? One more time?
Reese Jones.
Right. I still didn't hear you got cut out twice.
That's right. I recorded it twice so you can listen back to it.
That's right. Griff Rhys Jones, that's his name. He's great. I mean, he walks out, and I got to tell you, to have to keep a straight face, not only with that first scene where he's talking about doing a Disney nasty, and I gotta tell you, there's this one line where he goes, "Oh, I had you completely fooled. It is a pig." And Rick says another classic Rick line that I don't think anyone but Rick Mayo could do. It was just like, "Have you had enough Nazi, or do you want some more?" Yeah. And then it goes to the pig who says, "That's funny. Somebody called me a policeman the other day."
Yeah, it's like a newspaper joke in the middle of that. And they also reference the Elephant Man, so we go back to the Elephant Man. By the way, the name of the host of University Challenge was Bamber Gascioni. So the whole sketch and the title of the episode is just a pun on the fact that his name was Bamber.
That's amazing. I love it. That's amazing.
So now we get to the end game. This is the Avengers Endgame.
So this is reaching the zenith. This is the top. You've got 4 guys. You've got on top. You got Scumbag College. You got Vivian, Prick, Neil, and Mike, and then on bottom you've got Ben Elton's character. Jesus!
You have Ben Elton. You have Stephen Fry. You have Hugh Laurie and Emma Thompson.
Right, like Lord Snot, Lord Monty, Miss Bonnie Sterling, and Mr. Kendall. Oh God, Mr. Kendall something. just can't remember it right now.
Well, we have, yeah, it doesn't, it makes no difference.
It doesn't matter.
Now, I
It
think a
doesn't
lot
matter.
of the jokes here are, I think University Challenge actually uses a split screen and they're on both sides, but they do a
You
lot
know.
the fact that Scumbag College is above them.
You know. I love the fact that they're dancing like
Yeah,
you know
it's such a
you know
Muppet Show energy
you
again.
know
It makes
and then,
me laugh every time. That's the transition.
you
Is
know
Oxbridge are all like sitting
you know
still politely, and the four of them are dancing. Oh,
you
and
know
by the way, I didn't notice this till now, but Vivian has a stack of
yeah.
sandwiches next to him because he's killed that pig.
Oh, I never noticed that.
Yeah, I was like, why is
Oh
Vivian?
wow,
Yeah,
I never noticed.
because that pig's name is Bacon Sandwich.
Bacon sandwich. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, talking about animals, the and we'll go back to the puppets.
This is
One
the
of my
together.
favorite scenes ever. We're like, it's like, so after the music and they're all dancing around, and I love Mike. Mike is like kind of like, you know, kind of like he's into it, but he's not dancing too much. He goes, "Welcome to another edition of Footlights College." Here we have the guys from Footlights College, Oxbridge, and it's like rah rah rah. We're going to smash the oinks, and then we've got Scumbag College, and SPG is there.
Only FPG.
Only SPG, and he says one of my most favorite Scumbag College. And he says one of my most favorite lines. Oi, up scumbag, up scumbag. And then he goes, "See you, teddy bear, come here."
Yeah, someone's holding a teddy bear and he attacks it like a soccer hooligan.
Yeah, just like, and it's the funniest thing. And then the questions begin.
The questions.
And it gets even funnier.
Well, yeah, there's a whole run of Oxbridge not being able to answer any questions.
No,
but getting it anyway because they're rich. It's like,
but it's funny.
That's
Oh
not
my
even
God!
I knew your father. My favorite line of all of them is Emma Thompson, who just says, "I've got a Porsche."
What's the chemical equation? I've got a Porsche. Well, I know your father, but 10 points, footlights. She's like, "Woohoo, Daddy sends hugs." I love that. Daddy sends hugs. It's the best line.
I also, and I also love Lord Snot, Stephen Fry, when he's like, "Who's the richest person in the world?" I think it's me, isn't it?
It's
no,
me.
Your father's multinational collapse this morning.
Oh, and he just, and then that thing hits him in the thing that, at the beginning of the thing, it's just like he's just like born of Manchurian stock. He came to Scumbag Neil. Can I go to the toilet, please?
And it's a great joke, but it becomes a runner because he starts yelling "buzz buzz," and I really gotta go. And one of my favorite lines ever: "I'm just gonna have to wee on Lord Snot's head."
That's head. Oh my God! But of course, the answer to that question is Hugh Laurie is kind of like, wasn't it Monk to Wally de Honk? As well, can you give me any more? Sure, well, 50 pounds too. Yes, splendidly. 10 points and no confer to Footlights. 3 bonus questions. Oh my God. It's just like, he was just like, who said Lux and Lonnie, my bottom's on fire? Lennon. Well, I can accept that, though. It was written on my card. It says Joan of Arc.
Yeah. Yeah. Every question works. And a lot of these are throwaway gags. Like a lot of these, especially watching this on VHS with British accents, I missed a lot of these jokes. And
they're brilliant. I mean, the thing is that, like, I forget, he's just like, he asks, I forget what question it was. And he's scumbag Vivian. And Vivian's got a screwdriver. He's like, what?
Oh, he's taking apart the microphone.
He's taking apart the microphone because he's like a pre-med and he's just used to taking things apart and I guess putting them back together.
Yeah, it reminds me of there's an SCTV sketch called High Q.
Mm-hmm.
Like this that they did several times. That Eugene Levy is the host and he's playing Alex Trebek, who was Canadian, and I think he was the host at this point. And it's him getting more and more frustrated because there's Catherine O'Hara she would answer the question before it was asked, and then she would start crying when he yelled at her. John Candy kept saying he didn't press the buzzer. Joe Flaherty was this like a middle-aged guy that would just launch into the story until it was closed out. And then I believe Martin Short plays the same character that he plays on SNL in the synchronized swimming sketch.
Oh my God.
And and then Eugene Levy just begins screaming at them at one point.
That's great.
A great sketch. And they did it like 3 or 4 times. It was, it was a recurring sketch. But that's the only thing that I think compares to the way they're doing these
University Challenge. Well, the funny thing is that, like, I mean, at one point, Rick says, he goes, we're getting thrashed. We're getting completely thrashed. And it's great. Isn't there a way we could cheat? And that's something else that I have said, like sometimes, like playing, like whatever. It's like, come on, we got to play it. Like, we got to win this. Isn't there a way we can cheat?
Yeah, the way they cheat is by throwing a German grenade and killing
the 4. Yeah. And then the funny thing is that, like, no one notices, and he's just like, all of a sudden he's just like, all right, so the questions go from these, history based whatever kind of questions to, okay, who holds the world's record? And then Mike answers, and then Vivian gets upset.
Yeah, he calls him a cheat, and I
told you that, you bloody cheat.
I even said this to Sebastian, my son, when we were watching it. I was like, they're on the same team.
You bummed that. Yeah. I think that's what he says. I mean, I don't know what a bum bat is, but it can't be good.
I think he says bum bag.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the thing is that it's just like, it is so freaking funny that it's just like, and all of a sudden it's just like the world's stupidest bottom burp, and Neil is just he's like a kid on Christmas morning. He's just buzzing in. He's just like Rick Britain, and then it goes right to Mayall, and he's like, it is not. Then no one could have said, is it not, except for Mayall. I mean, how many times have we said this in especially in this episode, but in other episodes, like who could have said it besides Mayall, and the P that they draw next to Rick's name.
It looks like Vivian drew it.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to have been. And it's just like prick, and it's just like, oh my God. And it's just, finally when he says, who's been messing with my question cards? And Neil's like, Rick. It's just like,
it was me, and everybody boos him, and he's so insulted that people would boo him.
And they threw the teddy bear at him.
Yeah, it's a perfect punchline to that sketch, which they don't always do. But then there's a complete non sequitur, which is at least an ending, is the eclair from the Robbie Coltrane sketch.
Right.
Kills them in a way like the sandwich did, and interesting. But then we go back.
The sandwich killed the woman in interesting.
Yes, it killed John French.
John French. Accept Jesus. Not accept Jesus, but I love that joke. Anyways, the thing is
but this is the ending. We get the credits over Robbie Coltrane, Tony
talking
Robbins
to the elephant,
and it's just weird improv where, like, Tony Robinson's like seducing a crane,
a parrot. Yeah, something like whatever that is. It wooden or I don't know.
And the nurse is talking to the pig who tries to escape, and then they just pause it.
I think that pig was really on the way out, and I don't know who that lady was, but she was funny because she was wearing the pig nose herself. I just got
like a Roxanne nose.
Yeah. I just got to say this though, like the host of University Challenge, Griff Rhys-Jones. Mm-hmm. There are plenty of times in that sketch where you can see him smiling. And the thing is, it's just like, how could you not? It's just like you've got 8 heavy hitters up there, and it's hysterical.
Now,
You
Griff Priest
know?
Jones was another cast member of Not the 9 O'Clock News, which had famously Rowan Atkinson and Mel Smith. And then
Oh, I didn't know that.
and Pamela Stevenson, who would do 1 year on
Ah,
Saturday Night Live, but
okay.
is now married to Billy Connolly. So he
Oh, I
comes
love
with
Billy Connolly.
yeah, I love Billy Connolly too. So Griff Priest Jones does come with a pedigree. But that's it. That's Bambi.
Because we may not be the young ones